The flashback commenced with two boys seeking refuge behind a blonde-haired boy, their faces etched with tension as they observed the unfolding events. A condescending voice pierced the silence, taunting someone nearby. "So, you're the youngest Herald? Just a child of a traitor, after all. Don't get ahead of yourself," the voice taunted derisively. The blonde boy's fists tightened, his head dipped in a mix of shame and frustration, as he reminisced silently. The adults once proclaimed Arail the greatest prodigy of the clan, a herald by the age of 3, cradling his bleeding leg. Pain and fear were vivid on his face as he grimaced, the memory burning deep. "In my early years, I learned the harsh realities with a shattered ankle," he recalled bitterly. Yet, that was merely the beginning. His gaze, wide with a blend of fear and reverence, settled on the figure before him. As the figure's face came into focus, revealing a girl with a commanding aura and a stoic expression, it was Arail, Azadin's twin sister. The boy looked up at her with a complicated mix of admiration and trepidation. She was more than merely formidable. The flashback snapped back to the present, where the blonde-haired boy, now a grown man, reclined casually in a chair, his legs resting atop a table. He whispered to himself, "Arail," his voice laced with layers of unspoken emotions, possibly regret, possibly yearning. A sudden clamor from outside jolted him from his thoughts. He raised his head, his expression stealing as he was drawn out of his daydream. The narrative then shifted to a recent scene, with the flag of the Corsar Peddlers Association billowing in the wind. The narrator elaborated, originally a humble assembly of itinerant traders with backpacks, the Corsar Peddler Guild had evolved. Now flush with funds, the guild had flourished within Corsar, boasting considerable financial clout and organizational prowess. Yet, unbeknownst to many, it served as a front for the Herald Clan, making every merchant within the association a member of the Aragasa. Azadin strolled past the bustling stalls of the Corsar Peddlers Association, subconsciously touching his neck as he mused, "Hopefully, we can keep a low profile today." Trailing behind, Medium's enthusiasm was palpable as she practically danced with excitement, exclaiming, "We'll finally get to bathe." Encircled by 5 wagons, the caravan of the Corsar Peddler Guild resembled a bison herd safeguarding its young. When they set camp on the plains, they strategically positioned the wagons as barriers, creating a fortified encampment in the center, while the outward-facing wagons transformed into pop-up shops catering to passers-by. Outside one such shop, performers dazzled the crowd with acrobatics, captivating the audience, an act by members of the Herald Clan, doubling as store clerks. As 3 merchants advanced, their eyes sparkled with mischief, their sneers evident as they began to mock Azadin. "Who's this? Isn't this the famed 108th spirit, Sir Azadin?" one jeered with disdain. "Have the past 3 months of masquerading as a herald treated you kindly?" It was a familiar scenario. The Heretic clan bore a grudge against Azadin, the son of the disgraced Acre, unable to let go of the past transgressions that they believed had marred their prospects. In such discussions, praises for Arail flowed freely, as if each member of the clan were ready to lay down their lives for her, celebrating her demonstrated prowess, beauty, and intellect. Azadin gave them a fleeting glance, maintaining an enigmatic composure. His silence only emboldened another merchant who scoffed, "Ah, already commanding servants after just 3 months. Quite the talent, eh?" With a nod towards Ismail and Medayam, Azadin clarified in a serene yet assertive tone, "These children are not my servants." Cutting through the tension, he continued pragmatically, "Enough of that. Help me change the goat's horseshoes. That's within your means, isn't it?" A merchant stepped up briskly, seizing the sheep's reins from Azadin, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Certainly, certainly, how can we refuse, especially when Elder Causes himself has recommended you, despite your shortcomings in basic training? How could we possibly overlook the request of such a distinguished heretic?" His mockery was palpable. The air was thick with veiled hostility as Azadin retrieved a silver candlestick from his saddlebag. "Exchange this for money as well. And, if possible, I need Blue River arrowheads. Are they available?" he inquired nonchalantly. Leaning in, one merchant sneered, "Really? Even for the notorious trainee who couldn't keep up?" His mockery intensified. As they perused the items, another merchant whistled appreciatively, "Wow, he's come with some pricey goods." A third chuckled maliciously, probably pilfered from somewhere. "What a herald." Unruffled, Azadin interjected, "I also need a change of clothes. Could you lend me some and wash these?" The ordeal was grating, even for someone accustomed to dealing with sarcasm like Azadin. Ismail and Medayam exchanged uneasy glances, aware of the disdain harbored by the messenger clan members. Standing aside, Ismail whispered to Medayam, "I suspected as much, but this is severe. Determined, Medayam responded, no matter his origins, Azadin is a herald. It's their duty to assist. One of the merchants flung a bundle of clothing at Azadin with a smirk. Here you go, Azadin. Your fresh attire. Unfolding the bundle, Azadin discovered a set of women's garments. He responded coolly yet firmly, avoid such juvenile antics. I abstain from retaliating only because I am wearied by my duties. Moreover, I prefer not to harbor ill feelings towards your guild over a few misguided jests. His tone, though weary, carried an unmistakable edge of authority, his expression one of resigned irritation. The two merchants exchanged glances before advancing, their derision palpable. One jabbed a finger at Azadin and spat out contemptuously, "Ha, this fool. What are you rambling about, huh? Do you think we're behaving like your servants because you're oh so mighty? You'd never have become one of the 108 spirits without a stroke of luck. Just because we allow you to speak, do you expect us to don women's attire? Are you mocking us?" Before Azadin could formulate a response, a crisp voice sliced through the mounting tension. "If you're so aggrieved, why not settle this with a duel?" The merchants halted, turning to identify the newcomer. It was Medayam, stepping forward with calculated confidence, a mischievous smile playing on her lips. "Or are you perhaps too terrified to face the risks of a duel?" Azadin shot her a quick glance, his mind racing. The risks of a duel, that's no light matter for someone of your experience. One merchant sneered as he loomed over Medayam. "Ha, little lady, you're out of your depth. That boy there couldn't withstand a single punch." With feigned nonchalance, Medayam brushed her elbow against his and quipped, "Is that so?" In a flash, Medayam executed the mistletoe technique. She disappeared, leaving a streak of red light, and reappeared airborne. The merchants blinked in astonishment as she landed squarely on one's back, her dagger pressing against his throat. The suddenness of her action shocked everyone, including Azadin. The merchant under her gasped, "What are you doing, little miss?" Medium's tone dropped to an icy whisper, menacing and firm. "Little miss, do you fail to grasp the peril you're in?" She pressed the blade slightly deeper, drawing a thin line of blood on his neck. The man's whimper turned into a groan as sweat beaded on his brow. With chilling authority, Medayam continued, "I hail from the ether lineage. How dare a mere merchant cast such insults?" The pain in the merchant's voice was palpable as he moaned weakly. Holding the dagger steady, Medayam leaned in and whispered commandingly, "You dislike Herald Azadin? Then show your mettle. Stop hiding behind your petty jibes. Prove your worth through deeds." A crowd had begun to gather, drawn by the drama unfolding. Medium's challenge echoed boldly, "Couldn't take a single punch? What folly. Do you undervalue the herald's stature? Have you abandoned your obligations?" Her assertion was, in every sense, accurate. A heretic stood at the pinnacle of the clan hierarchy, tasked with gathering intelligence and resources for their cause. The guild, although rich and influential, was supposed to support this mission. But with the emperor's demise and the curse that drove them losing its grip, priorities had shifted to amassing wealth and societal influence. In any community, those who controlled the money eventually wielded power. While the guild members typically respected heretics, Azadin was an outlier. Nevertheless, Medium's declaration resonated with undeniable truth, underscoring a profound reminder of their sworn duties. Medayam confronted the merchant, her voice sharp and commanding. "What is your mission? Isn't it to support the emperor's heretics for the sake of the clan? Then why do you insult a heretic as if they are worthless? Is this how you fulfill your mission?" The merchant stammered, "No, we." With a scornful snort, Medayam interrupted, "If you harbor disdain for Azadin but lack the courage to challenge him directly, then smile pleasantly like those in hubris when they conduct business. Can you manage even that? If not, you're unfit to be even a servant. You might as well go farm in sanctuary or meet your end here at my hands. You're not a true heretic, but merely a child ignorant of what is right. Your aspirations are futile." Before he could respond, the crowd parted, and a new figure emerged. All eyes turned toward the newcomer, a blonde-haired man, his demeanor composed and radiating authority. Azadin and Ismail tensed immediately, their faces mirroring concern, while Medayam maintained her stoic, calculated composure. The blonde man began clapping slowly, his voice steady yet authoritative. Now, let's not escalate things any further." He then turned to Azadin, adopting a tone of familiarity. "It's been a while, Azadin." Azadin responded tersely, "Indeed." The man shifted his attention to Medayam, extending one hand in a courteous gesture while keeping the other behind his back. "And you must be Medayam of Ether." Upon recognizing her status, he straightened up and introduced himself. "I am Derek of Savin. I apologize for my comrade's behavior. Please, let's avoid any further conflict." I'd hate to see bloodshed among clan members. Medayam nodded slightly, acknowledging his plea. She released the merchant and leapt back to Azadin with agile grace. The merchant, clutching his neck, stumbled toward his companion, complaining through gritted teeth, "She already spilled my blood, I'm telling you." His colleague responded with a dismissive snort, "Just spit on it. We're in no position to retaliate against anyone from Ether." Derek, without sparing the merchants another glance, commanded, "Pedo, Corsar. Remember your duties to the association." The merchant stiffened, promptly responding, "Yes, sir," their tones reflecting a mix of respect and resignation. Their earlier bravado dissipated, replaced by a sober realization of their place within the clan hierarchy. Derek approached Azadin with deliberate steps, his voice soft as he passed by. "Azadin, go wash up and come over. Let's at least share a meal together." Azadin watched him walk away, his thoughts a blend of irritation and indifference. Why bother? He wondered silently. After enjoying a refreshing shower, Azadin dried off, revealing his chiseled six-pack and the faint scars from past battles that marked his body. As he stood, he mused to himself, "It feels revitalizing to soak in a bath after such a long time." Nearby, Ismail relaxed in the hot water tub, eyeing Azadin. "Azadin, why did you just stand there? Even if it's due to the circumstances of your birth, your twin Arail is highly revered, isn't she?" Azadin remained silent as he continued drying off, while Ismail added, "I've heard that those who dare challenge Arail, or even speak ill of her, quickly regret it." Putting the towel aside and slipping on his shirt, Azadin responded nonchalantly, "Arail has her own methods." Ismail, leaning back with his eyes closed, sighed, "You truly are an enigma." Fully dressed, Azadin prepared to leave the tent. Pausing at the entrance, he looked back and advised, "You should hurry and persuade Medayam, so you can move on, or else you'll end up as odd as I am." Azadin's effortless charm was undeniable as he exited the tent. Later, at dinner, Azadin sat at a table laden with an array of dishes. The atmosphere was charged as Derek cleared his throat conspicuously, his hand covering his face as if to compose himself. "I wanted to ask," Derek started, his voice pointed, "have you heard anything about Arail recently?" Azadin leaned back casually, shaking his head, "No, I haven't." Derek's frustration was palpable. "Still? Really?" He couldn't mask his annoyance any longer and slammed his fist down on the table, causing the dishes to rattle. "Do you not even care about your older sister?" he demanded, his voice laden with accusation. Scratching his face awkwardly, Azadin responded, "Well, considering her abilities, she's not someone worth worrying over." As Azadin reached for an apple from the basket on the table, Derek, clearly exasperated, snatched the basket away before Azadin could grab one. Azadin's face hit the table with an audible thud as Derek, now holding the apples, shouted, "I'm telling you to start talking about your results already." Lifting his head slightly, Azadin replied with an annoyed tone, "I'm doing my work properly. I'm collecting gold coins, too." Derek shot him a glare. "Forget that. I'm talking business here. What happened to attacking the other merchant associations and keeping them in check?" Azadin sighed and looked down before replying, Screw that, Derek. Just look at this." Reaching into his pocket, Azadin revealed the magical wand he had taken from the Fong King. Holding it up, he asked, "Have you ever seen anything like this?" Derek leaned forward, intrigued. "I have. The Kurt Godkin bishops use this tool to search for the copy of the Book of the Divine King. The daughter of Ether delivered the district leader's letter from what I've heard. That's why she was called." "No," Azadin said, "I guess everyone knows now." Derek crossed his arms and replied, "You haven't been making reports to the district leader, so aren't you the only one who doesn't know?" Examining the wand closely, Derek added, "Anyway, bringing in this wand is a good contribution, though it would have been best if you'd brought the Book of the Divine King's copy itself." Azadin, once again reaching for an apple, replied coolly, "I did, though." Derek froze. His eyes widened in disbelief, his composure slipping entirely. "What?" he stammered. Azadin brought the apple closer to his mouth, about to take a bite, and said nonchalantly, "I guess all the other heralds came back empty-handed, huh?" Before he could sink his teeth into the fruit, Derek grabbed Azadin's wrist, his grip firm and commanding. "Azadin!" Derek barked, his voice loud and sharp. "Hand over the copy." Azadin looked at him, confused but calm, his expression a mix of surprise and amusement.